Stepping into the realm of medicine, one is greeted by the symphony of hospital sounds, transitioning from the cold precision of theoretical textbooks to the vivid reality of human patients. Encountering the raw essence of healthcare has been a humbling and at times a deeply saddening experience. Looking at my seniors on the other side of the learning curve, I can't help but wonder, how do they do it? How do these doctors think? You arrive at the doctor's office. In the waiting room sits your irreducibly material body. Bodies are language, mute appeal for recognition, for attention and care. And this is where we face our first challenge, the discrepancy between the given and the malleable, the body and the knowledge. Knowledge may be contingent, and existence may be too, but bodies are a given. Needy, playful, pleasurable, healthy, and ill, they're all interpreted, treated, sometimes cured. One of the key goals of the book was defining the medical practice, and the author really likes to rebut the idea that medicine is neither an art nor a science. I had a really hard time reading this rebuttal at first, as it kept clashing with what I already knew from seniors and all of the history lessons we've been having. Doesn't Hippocrates say medicine is an art at the crossroads of science? To be honest, I was caught off guard by the seemingly odd claim, but I slowly came to understand what the author really meant. Medicine is not a science, at least not in the positivist sense, aka the dominant model of professional science. When physicians who conduct research turn to their clinical duties, they are no longer scientists, but clinicians, physicians who take care of patients. In the clinical context, the main focus is no longer scientific perfection, but patient care. And I think this shift was beautifully illustrated by the examples George Bernard Shaw's Doctor's Dilemma, 1906, and Sinclair Lewis' Arrowsmith of 1925. A Doctor's Dilemma is a play where a renowned scientist has developed this cure for tuberculosis, and due to the limited availability, he has to choose the people he's going to save. The play highlights the complexity and subjectivity of medicine that makes it impossible to reduce to a determinist and objective science. There are so many more factors that influence medicine beyond the facts outlined by science textbooks. We have the biases, the moral dilemmas, the societal pressures, or Arrowsmith that draws a very clear conflict between the ideals of science and the realities of the profession, where Martin Arrowsmith's dedication for scientific integrity and desire to contribute to humanity's well-being clash with the pressures and compromises imposed by the medical establishment. Medicine is not a science. Physicians must act. It's also not an art. Donald Schoen classifies artistry as a giant category that includes anything from wisdom, professional etiquette, bedside manner. For some, this artistry even includes the moral values, and for the more experienced physician, it goes as far to include gut feelings and clinical intuition. In a sense, whatever seems as a non-science gets systematically shoved into the art category. And this dichotomy of science versus art doesn't really do medicine justice. Because medicine is a capacity carefully cultivated through the rigors of a long apprenticeship spent dealing with radical uncertainty. It is clinical judgment. My problem was approaching medicine as an epistemic science, where we are using scientific reasoning. Relying on stable, precise, and replicable phenomena is what I automatically assumed would be using, but I was wrong, because that's completely inappropriate when we're talking about a field of radical uncertainty. Just like law, ethics, and even meteorology. Medicine requires a mindset shift from scientific reasoning to a practical reasoning, aka seeking the best possible answers under the circumstances. We are relying on a contingent and multivariant narrative rationality, thus asking the question, what brings you here today? The answer to that question is going to lay the foundation of the biocultural aspect of illness as described by David Morse. We are just like a detective who's presented with a case and needs to use the current clues, preliminary evidence, knowledge to hypothesize, test the hypothesis, and come to a conclusion. This book was such an amazing introduction to practical rationality. As a first-year student who's neck deep into biocell and biochemistry and all of these theoretical bits and pieces of information, these new concepts of applied knowledge seem very foreign to me. And I really enjoyed the chapters addressing aphorisms and maxims, where these memorable and witty expressions of general truths and practical wisdoms were outlined. For example, oscillating between the therapeutic imperative and don't do something, just stand there, or experience is the best teacher and learn from other people's mistakes. This bemusing tug-of-war between competing admonition is a reminder that while physicians work towards certainty, they must act in its absence. One of my favorite bears so far is the following. Pattern your practice on that of your clinical elders and question everything you are told and much of what you see. This bear really highlights the challenges of learning. In such a hierarchical field, I feel like a useless rookie, and I look up to my elders naturally. I respect them a lot. They are amazing individuals, but sometimes it's so easy to forget that no matter how talented they are, how accomplished they are still human, and they are still capable of making mistakes. And the maxim is just a reminder to look at everything with a curious eye, but still question everything and think for yourself and take everything with a grain of salt. This book was really uncomfortable to read, especially at first. But then it had a very comforting twist to it because it addressed many of my struggles and of my fears. This year, I've seen a lot of I've experienced so many new sensations this year, and I've struggled a bit with seeing these stories unraveling before my eyes of patients, gravely ill patients, doctors being unable to help them, and no matter how much these elders, these seniors knew, no matter how skilled they were, sometimes they just couldn't stop the course of time. Misfortunes of human existence. But at the end of the day, it's comforting to know that we choose to be a part of these people's lives, and especially in their most vulnerable and painful moments. And enduring the cruelty and the deprivation of the profession at this point is no longer just a professional task. It is more of a moral duty that will inevitably end up changing us. And I'm looking forward for that change. I wonder what it will feel like reading this book a couple years from now, how different my experience would be. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you for watching my video. Let me know if I should continue this book series. Thank you so much. Bye bye.